Hi everyone, I'm Eunice and today I'm back with another project analysis review, and this time it's Lentor Central Residences over here. So let's dive deep into whether Lentor Central Residences is a good buy. Is there actually an oversupply in Lentor itself? And let's analyze the price predictions as well as the floor plans. So starting off, this is how Lentor Central Residences look. You can see it's two towers of 27 and 28 stories. So you see the whole large greenery over here, right? Lentor area actually used to be a hillock park. So then now they've already zoned some of the plots for residential. So some units at Lentor Central Residences will actually get to enjoy the lush greenery views that you see over here. And that will actually be hillock park. So these are some project details. It is two blocks of 28 and 27 stories, total 477 units, with one childcare centre, 2 levels of basement car parks. Our developers are renowned, jointly developed by Hong Leong, Guaco, as well as CSC Land. So the expected date of completion will actually be third quarter 2028. So these are just some background on our developers as well as their track record. So these are some developments that our developers have developed. They have done Sim Urban Oasis as well as Martin Moderns, which are stranger to none. And over here, so this is actually where Lentor Hills Estate is at. So I feel like since there's already been 5 launches in the Lentor area itself, right? The area would not be foreign to many of you, but from the map, as you can see over here, if I were to zoom in, this area here is actually where Lentor Hills Estate is at. And if you look closely, it's actually along the fringe of Yio Chu Kang as well as Ang Mo Kio. So now, when you are relatively near to HDB estates such as Yio Chu Kang or Ang Mo Kio, even though Lentor is a relatively new town, but being close to these estates, right, you do have easy access to your daily necessities such as your groceries, amenities, or your daily needs that you might need. So this is actually where the Lentor Hills Estate is at. So from here, you can also see because of our close proximity to Yio Chu Kang, Ang Mo Kio and such, we are also in close proximity to Lentor Modern. So Lentor Modern is actually just right opposite Lentor Central Residences, and that's actually an integrated development that links you to the Lentor MRT station. We are also a short drive to Ang Mo Kio Hub as well as Thomson Plaza, Junction 8 or even North Point City. So eateries around us, we have the Springleaf Estate, we also have your Upper Thomson Eatery, so that's where you get your prata, your bak chor mee, they're all over there. So looking at this Lentor area, right, so where Lentor Central Residences is at, we are within 1 kilometer to Anderson Primary, and then for Mayflower as well as CHIJ St. Nicholas, we are within 1 to 2 kilometers. So for families who are looking for schools around the area, not to worry, you have Anderson Primary, which is within 1 kilometer, and that will actually be a co-ed school, so boys and girls, they can both get into the school. For CHIJ St. Nicholas, it is usually oversubscribed, so within 1 to 2 kilometers, cannot guarantee that you will get a slot there. So Lentor Central Residences, we are also connected to nearby parks such as the Hillock Park, the Thomson Nature Park, as well as the Lower Pierce Reservoir Park. So these are all just a short minute drive away. So now I want to bring your attention to where the Lentor estate is and also look at what's in the Lentor area. So as you can see over here, these are the developments that are around Lentor. So if I were to go by which was launched first, it will actually be Lentor Modern, the first one over here that you see. That's the integrated development that I was talking about, which is linked to the MRT station, and that's where you have your childcare, your supermarket, and as well as some retail shops. They'll all be at Lentor Modern itself. The second development to launch was actually Lentor Hills, this one right here, which launched in July 2023. So Lentor Modern being the first, it actually launched in September 2022. And second was Lentor Hills in July 2023. Third development to launch in the area will actually be Hillock Green, this one here, which launched in November 2023. And then we have Lentoria as well as Lentor Mansion. These two developments actually launched back in March 2024 last year. So you can see over here, right, how we're looking at, some buyers might actually be concerned that there might be an oversupply in the Lentor area itself. But you can actually see, even though we have so many developments over here, with Lentor Central Residences being the 6th one, actually the total number of units that we have only stands at around 2,900 plus. So this is because we are made up of actually many different mid-sized developments as compared to other areas in the market where you have mega developments such as Affinity at Serangoon, you have your Riverfront Residences, you have your Florence Residences, your Normanton Park. So these developments, right, just the development itself is already crossing 1,000 over units. But over here, even though we have 6 developments in total, we are just crossing at about 2009. So in that sense, in the resale market, right, your buyers actually, they're not just comparing one development itself. They have the vibes and the feel of different developments. So for someone who, for example, only wants an integrated, then okay, Lentor model might be the only option that they will consider. For other buyers who feel that maybe they are more particular on the amenities or the facilities, like they want a childcare center in the condominium itself, or they want a tennis court, then that kind of like eliminates certain development in the Lentor area. So it's not really an apple to apple comparison in the resale market. So I feel that supply in Lentor itself actually still quite manageable, and it can actually still accommodate to the HDB upgraders in that area. So in fact, if we look at now, Lentor Central Residences were previewed in Feb, launched likely in March. So the unsold supply is actually 162, and that's very, very low given that it has been since September 2020 that we first launched, and then it has been a year actually since Lentor Mansion or Lentor itself. So at 162 units, I feel that Lentor Central Residences, once it launches at only 477 units, you will expect it to be snapped up quite quickly. So other factors to address, some buyers' concern oversupply, but I'll just quickly touch on the HDB upgrader side. So if you look at this chart over here, we have the estates that were actually MOP in 2022 to 2033. So based off Lentor's location, right, actually the HDB upgraders that you are attracting come from mainly the north and actually even the northeastern side. So for example, the north, you have areas such as Sembawang, Woodlands, Yishun, and maybe even Ang Mo Kio or Bishan. And from the northeastern side, you have areas such as Hougang, Punggol, Sengkang, Serangoon. So all these HDB upgraders, if they were to upgrade in terms of maybe asset progression or just in terms of location, you can see that we have almost 55,000 units of HDB upgraders. Even if let's say only 5% of these HDB upgraders were to upgrade, right, that brings you to about 2,700 units. So yes, that is almost possible to wipe out the entire supply of Lentor, as you can see at 3,400. But do you really think that upon TOP of these developments that all units will be for sale? Even if let's say only 10 or even 20% of units were to go on sale, that's only about 300 or even 600, and that might not be enough to meet the demand of these HDB upgraders for Lentor Central Residences. Okay, so now that you've kind of seen the supply and demand of Lentor area, let's go into its site plan as well as unit distribution. So this is how Lentor Central Residences look. You can see they have 2 blocks, like I mentioned, 9 stacks per block. And interestingly enough, right, even at 477 units, we actually have full condo facilities. So developers have actually incorporated a tennis court into this development. So that's actually, I would think, like a plus point, because not every development at Lentor area actually has a tennis court. Okay, so looking at this site plan, you have your 1-beders over here, stack 6 as well as stack 11. The light blue ones here are all your 2-beders, which are expected in the middle of the block. And then we have the purple one, which are your 3-beders at the corners. And then we have the 5-beders over here in pink. Let me just orientate you a little bit on the facing as well. So for the facing, you can see we are north-south facing over here. This is actually where Hillock Park is at. So over here, this is Hillock Park. Over here, there's actually going to be another land plot. So like I mentioned at the beginning, there will be some units that will actually face the lush greeneries of Hillock Parks. So likely these are the units here that will get a good facing. And then some units over here, you'll face the pool. And then after you do get a bit of Hillock Park view as well before you see the next land plot. Then whereas the units that are here, you will look at your facilities and then you will see the next land plot. And the units that are over here will actually see the pool before you see the driveway and the entrance area. So that's the site plan for Lentor Central Residences. Now looking at the unit mix that we have over here, you can see that our 1-bedder stands at 55 units, our 2-bedders at 210, 3-bedders at 106, and 4-bedders also at 106. So that brings us to a percentage of 1 and 2-bedders to be around 55.56 and 44.44 for the 3 and 4-bedders. So I would say actually it is quite a good mix to investors as well as own stay units. A slightly higher percentage towards investors, but I think, at 44.4% is still a good percentage for the own stayers in Lentor Central Residences. Now, we will do what we did previously for our project analysis, predict how Guaco and Hong Leong will do their prices. So because they have also done other developments in Lentor itself, right, such as Lentor Mansion as well as Lentor Hills Residences. So I think we can use these two this one here, Lentor Hills as well as Lentor Mansion, we can use the prices that they did on launch day to kind of see if we can guess the prices for Lentor Central Residences. So this is Lentor Hills Residences. You can see on launch day itself back in July 2023, this was the prices that they did. There was a 7,000 per floor jump for their 2-beders, which brings it to about a 0.5% premium. And then at level 10, there is a 2.3% premium. So why level 10? Because for Lentor Hills Residences, if you look at the development, level 9 over here is actually the Sky Terrace that they have. And similarly, Lentor Central Residences, right, they also have a roof terrace on level 14. So then you will notice that likely there will be a price jump from 13 to 15 as well. So which is why I think it was a good comparison for us to compare with Lentor Hills Residences. And then for Lentor Mansion, there was a 5,000 per floor jump for their 2-beders, which brings it to be about 0.4% premium. And then at level 10, there was a 0.8% premium for their higher blocks because they have 6 blocks and then 3 of them also had the same Sky Terrace, which is quite similar to Lentor Central Residences. So using the above data that we have, right, we'll use that for the 1, 2, 3 and 4-bedder layouts at Lentor Central Residences, and then we predict the price, and then we can see, whether it is a good entry price for you as a buyer to enter into and whether it's a safe exit in the future. So now let us go into the 1-bedroom layouts, and we do have 463 square feet for our 1-bedder, and we have 2 different types of layout. So we have stack 11, which is the one that is pool facing over here, and we also have stack 6, which is facing the next land plot. So for these 2 layout types, they're actually very, very similar. If you look at it closely, they both have a Jack and Jill bath. The only difference I feel is that if you look at the 1B area, the entrance area over here is actually just slightly shorter as compared to the 1A layout, because they actually put the fridge over here on this side, so you can see that it kind of shortens the kitchen area over there. Other than that, I really don't see much of a difference in either layouts. They really all look the same. Wall-to-wall distance both stands at 2.7 meters. Same dining space that you have, same master bedroom, master bath sizes. So really, I feel that for this, it's down to what kind of facing you might prefer. So for our 1-bedder in Lentor Central Residences, we only have 53 units, and actually for this 1+ study layout that you see, right, we only have 2 units, which are on the ground floor. So they are on the ground floor of stack 5 as well as stack 14, which is 5 and 14 that you see. So one will be facing the Hillock Park, and then stack 5 will be facing the facilities. But being on ground floor, I think your view is going to be actually the same. So there's only 2 units here. I won't touch much on it because only 2 buyers will get to buy. So definitely a very, very rare 1+ study in the Lentor area. Now let's also dive into 1-bedders in Lentor. But firstly, let's do a comparison with Treasure at Tampines. So now, why did I use Treasure at Tampines? Because if you realize the entire Lentor area that we have seen, right? So like what I did earlier, the total number of units in Lentor was around 2,954. So Treasure at Tampines is a mega development. It has 2,203 units, and their 1-bedder there is around 231. So 231 to 2203, that brings you to approximately maybe 10+%. So you can see how generally developers, if they were to cater to the 1-bedders, right, that's approximately usually the percentage that they might try to cater for if it's a big development. So using that as a comparison against Lentor area, right, so this is the supply of 1-bedders in Lentor. If you look at it closely, 63 out of 605 units in Lentor Modern makes up the 1-bedder. At Hillock Green, we only have 22 out of 474. Lentor Hills, we only have 35 out of 598. We don't have any 1-bedder in Lentor Mansion, and we only have 23 out of 267 in Lentoria. So bringing that up to Lentor Central Residences, including our 1+ study, we have 55 1-bedders out of 477. So total number of 1-bedders just in these 6 developments itself, right, it's only at 198. And that brings you to only about 6.7%, which I feel is a very, very small number as compared to what we have seen in mega developments such as Treasure. So definitely, I feel the supply of 1-bedder in Lentor is still quite safe, whether you're buying for investment or for own stay, because it's quite low, the supply, so you might not face as much competition in the resale market. So as an investor, if you're looking to buy a 1-bedder at Lentor Central Residences, we have pulled up the data for 1-bedder rental, and we use Panorama because actually Panorama is within 1 kilometer of Lentor Central Residences, and it is the newest development over there. So it TOP back in 2017, and so you can see from here, the 1-bedroom, they bring in about high 2,000s to 3,000-ish kind of rental with the price predictions that we have made for Lentor Central Residences at 463 square feet if developers were to price starting from 2,200 PSF. That brings you to be about slightly above 1 mil. So why did we use 2,200 PSF? Lentor Central Residences will be a harmonized project. So similarly, the only other harmonized development in Lentor itself will be Lentor Mansion. So Lentor Central Residence will actually only be the second one. So based off this, 2,200 PSF, not counting for aircon ledge, actually might be a good PSF for developers to launch at. So bringing that to slightly above 1 mil for your ground floor. For level 13, maybe that will bring you to be about 1.08. And then for the highest floor at level 28, you might be looking at about 1.17. So assuming a rental of 3,000, that brings you to a rental yield of 3.5, 3.3 and 3.07 for your low, mid and high floor units. So generally at this kind of rental yield, I think it's still quite sustainable for an investor. But more importantly, I feel like because of how developers have managed to fit a one bedroom at 463 square feet, right? They've really managed to keep the quantum of the one bedder low. Looking at 1.171 kind of pricing for high floor, right? That actually puts you to a PSF of around 2,500. But yet the quantum is still below 1.2. Because if we were to compare to this other development, which is Lentoria. So currently, Lentoria has about 7 units of one bedder left, and these are their prices. If I were to zoom in for you to see, Lentoria stands at 538 square feet. They are not harmonized, so the aircon ledge is included, so the square feet might feel a little bit bigger. And these are also their prices that you can see. So you can see they range from 1.308 all the way up to 1.448. So because of how harmonized has played an effect for Lentor Central Residences, developers making it at 463, even at let's say 2,500 PSF or 2,006, your quantum is still relatively lower than what you get over here. So I put the one bedder of Lentor Central Residences in comparison to the Lentoria ones for you just to really have a look side by side. So the only key difference that I could make out was that probably the wall-to-wall distance of Lentoria was slightly bigger at probably about 3.1 meters, whereas for Lentor Central Residences, the one that you are looking at, the wall-to-wall distance is about 2.7. So that's probably the key difference in layout. Other than that, the master bedroom, the master bath, in fact, the living and dining area still looks very similar. The kitchen as well, kitchenette. Maybe Lentoria just has like a slightly longer foyer area over here that you can see. Yeah, other than that, I feel 538 versus 463, not too much difference, but because of harmonized effect, and you actually have an advantage in the quantum over here. So that was the one bedroom layout. Now let's go in and deep dive into the two bedroom layout in Lentor Central Residences. We have a few. We have 2 bed, 2 bath and 2 plus study, but varying sizes. So the smallest at Lentor Central Residences is actually our 2 bed, 2 bath. We do not have a 2 bed, 1 bath over at this development. So the 2 bed, 2 bath, we have 678 square feet as well as 689 square feet over here. So the 678 one is the dumbbell facing one. It is stack 10 as well as stack 1 that you see, the one circled in yellow. So we have it facing the pool, and then we also have it facing the Hillock Park. So 678 is a dumbbell layout. It is a Jack and Jill bath over here. So 2 entrances, tuck away kitchen nicely at the corner here. And then whereas for the 689 layout, the one in purple, circle in purple, that's stack 18, it is pool facing, but it is more of a traditional layout that we have. So of course, just comparing these two floor plans itself, right, I would say that the dumbbell layout would probably be a little bit more preferred because it is a better efficiency of space, though you have lesser privacy. And also because if you look at our 689 layout, right, I feel it is actually very, very close to our 2 plus study, which stands at 786 square feet, but I can show you the comparison. So looking at here, this is our 786 2 plus study layout. So we have 2 different floor plans, but actually the differences are marginal. We have the one at stack 4 and stack 5, which is the one in yellow. Stack 4 and stack 5. One of them is facing the future Lamport, the other one is facing Hillock Park. And then we have the 786 for the 2D and G, and that will be stack 14 facing Hillock Park and stack 5 same facing, which is the other land plot. So just comparing these two 786, they have very similar dining space. The only difference that I see over here is if you look at 2E, which is the one on the left, it actually has a glass panel over here in their kitchen. So naturally, if you were to compare to 2D or G, the kitchen over here is just a solid wall, which is next to the study. So the 2E layout type just on its own will look visually bigger in terms of the space because the half glass panel there will probably allow for more light to shine through. And then also if you notice, the walkway here for 2E as compared to the 2D or G is shorter walkway for the 2E layout. So just looking at this, I would feel that the 2E layout might be slightly preferred for some buyers in that sense, because you get a shorter walkway and yet you get a half glass kitchen wall. But the thing is, then you might lose out on storage because it's glass, so you cannot really put much storage in there. So actually, I want to highlight something over here in comparing the 2 plus study layout for the 786, right, compared to the 689 earlier stack 18. So this stack 18 layout, right? So I feel that there's a chance that for the 6885 pool facing stack 18 over here, for our 2-bed 2-bath, it might actually be slightly higher PSF as compared to the 2 plus study, which is facing the next land plot over here, stack 4 and stack 5. So in that sense, right, the extra study space in terms of quantum, then you might feel that there's a marginal difference in that. So why is it important to know this? Because on launch day, generally you only have the prices about maybe 1 to a few hours before. So you kind of need to be on standby for which layout and facing you want to shortlist and compare the prices for. For example, if you thought that you only had a budget constraint and you can only go for 689 square feet, but you realize that actually a less preferable facing of the 2 plus study might actually be well within your budget. So then it will actually be good to shortlist the 2 plus study stacks. So in that sense, once you have the prices, you kind of know which one might be a better buy for yourself. So then this is our last 2 plus study layout, 2 plus study at 797 square feet. So for this 797 square feet layout, there's only one stack, which is stack 9, which is then facing the Hillock Park. So this 797 square feet, it actually has the shortest walkway. You can tell the walkway here is really not very long. And then it is actually just 11 square feet bigger than the 786. So that will bring you to about 24k more at 2200 PSF. This layout at 797 will probably be my last choice because I feel like it's really very close to 3-bedroom compact at 915. So then, looking at the 797 and now 786 side by side, the difference is really not much. The kitchen, they both don't have a glass. So the only key difference here is really just the walkway. So 24k more, it might not make sense to really enter into the highest 2 plus study at Lentor Central Residence. But of course, if your budget doesn't allow for a 3-bedroom compact, then, entering into the 2 plus study, I will put 797 square feet definitely as my last choice. So now we've also done a comparison of the 2-bed 2-bath in Lentor area itself for you to compare to Lentor Modern, Lentor Hills, Hillock Green, Lentoria, as well as Lentor Mansion, how you will fare in the 2-bed 2-bath market. Okay, so you can see over here, Lentor Modern, the advantage that I see in Lentor Modern, right, is they actually have a flexible room. So that, they can double up as a study or basically anything that you want it to be. So very, very good part of Lentor Modern over there at 732 square feet. And they have a tuck-away kitchen over here as well. For Lentor Hills Residences, in fact, I feel it is very, very, very similar to Lentor Central Residences. You have the same glass kind of panel over in the kitchen, and then it's a dumbbell layout. You also get similar dining space, similar living space, bedroom sizes are quite similar. Hillock Green, I feel, is not a good comparison. Why did I put an X there? Because if you look at Hillock Green, the kitchen area over here is really quite tiny. It looks really small. I think there's not much space over there. And then if you want to kind of enclose it or make it enclosable also, it's a little bit hard. And then it's also a traditional layout. So it's not a dumbbell as compared to the other layout type in Lentor Central Residences at 678. So for Lentoria and Lentor Mansion, we've also pulled out the 2-bed 2-bath layouts for you to compare. Lentoria, 732 square feet. Lentor Mansion, 657. So Lentor Mansion 657 is because it is harmonized. So they didn't include the aircon latch. Both, I feel, actually don't make a good comparison as for Lentor Central Residences. Why? Lentoria 732, you can see it is not a dumbbell, it is a traditional layout, and also the kitchen area is those kind of long kitchenette that you see over here instead of a nicely tucked away kitchen. And then for Lentor Mansion at 2-bed 2-bath, the kitchen is also the L-shaped kind. So if you don't really like open concept kitchen and you still kind of want to have a tucked away kitchen nicely at the side, then I feel Lentor Mansion will not be in your consideration in the resale market. So this is our Lentor Central Residences 678 tucked away kitchen, good dining space over here. In fact, it looks really quite spacious, and of course dumbbell layout. So comparing the ones that I think is good will be Lentor Modern as well as Lentor Hills Residences to compare with Lentor Central Residences. And with that, pulling up Lentor Modern as well as Lentor Hills Residences, I have pulled out the highest transacted price of their 2-bed 2-bath in the area. For Lentor Modern, it stands at 1.839 mil, and for Lentor Hills Residences is at 1.683 mil. So these are prices that have already been transacted and already been accepted in today's market. So with the data that we had earlier, referring to our previous slide, we used the price predictions that we have at 678 square feet for 2,100 PSF. That brings you to a starting from price about 1.4 mil. And then with level 13, about 1.51. And at the highest level of level 28, that brings you to about 1.637 mil. So So you can see that referring to the previous slide that we have just over here at the prices that you see above, 1.683 has already been accepted, 1.839 has already been accepted in the market. So with this kind of price point, I feel that definitely it's a safe entry price for you here in Lentor Central Residences. And actually, if you look at like what I mentioned earlier, the whole of Lentor, we have very, very limited two-bedder supply. So definitely the two-bedders at Lentor Central Residences, we do expect it to be maybe almost fully sold on launch day itself. Okay, so now that you've kind of seen the prices for the two-bed, two-baths in Lentor, and then now I will just do a quick recommendation of what I feel is the first place, which will be the 678 two-bed, two-bath dumbbell layout, and second place will actually be 689 two-bed, two-bath traditional layout, and then of course third will be 786 2+ study, and then lastly will actually be the 797, simply because the 797 will be quite comparable to a 3-bedroom compact. So actually for the second and third place, which is the 689 as well as 786 square feet, I feel that these two can actually kind of be tied for second and third position, simply because of the facing, and there might be a certain higher PSF for the better facing layout. So yeah, these are my recommendations for the 2-bedroom layout here at Lentor Central Residences. Now let's go into the 3-bedroom layout type. So for the 3-bedroom layout type, we only have 2 different layouts, so quite easy for us to compare. So the first one that we have is the 3-bedroom compact. It stands at 915 square feet. There are 2 stacks, stack 7, which is facing the next land plot, and then we have stack 12, which will be facing the pool first. So looking at this 3-bedroom compact layout, very, very good size actually at 915 square feet. I like that there is a foyer area over here, so there's a bit of an added privacy. It's a window in your kitchen. There's a glass panel at your window, so visually it will look a little bit bigger. And also there's a window at this aircon ledge that you see over here. So why is that good? Because then I feel your bedroom 2 that's opposite it will actually receive a lot more light. Because sometimes when you go into a 3-bedroom compact or other 3-bedrooms in general, that part there is usually just a wall. And when it's usually just a wall, it makes the common bedroom feel a little bit dark. So then you see there are of course windows in all baths because we are at the corner. Okay, so I've put up the 3-bedroom compact in the whole of Lentor. Comparing Lentor Modern, 969 square feet, you can see it is quite a good comparison. In fact, they are a little bit better because at 969 square feet, they have also managed to include a flex room in their floor plan. So very, very good. They have windows in their baths as well as their kitchen. So similar comparison to us. Nicely tucked away kitchen also. And then for Lentor Hills Residences, similarly, they also have the window in their aircon ledge. So actually the bedroom 2 there will also be quite bright. They also have windows in their bath and also in their kitchen, and also enclosable. So very good comparison as well. So for Hillock Green, if you notice, I didn't really think that it was as a good comparison because the kitchen is a lot smaller. You can see, it just have this area here, and then they have the washer dryer over here. So it's not like a U-shaped kind of kitchen. So then that's where you lose out quite a bit on storage space. Then they have quite a long foyer area over here. So I wouldn't really use Hillock Green at 904 square feet for comparison. But for Lentoria, you can see also I put an X there. I didn't use it as a comparison as well because there's a L-shaped kitchen. It's more of an open concept kitchen actually. So it's a bit harder for you to kind of enclose the kitchen if you wish. Then the dining area is like at an odd place, like right next to that area over there. Lentor Mansion, 904 square feet, it being harmonized. Quite a similar layout to us. There's windows in all the kitchen. They actually even have a flex room. Even though their kitchen is also like an open concept where you kind of can't like enclose it if you wish. But I feel the key thing that they stand out compared to us is that they actually have a flex in their 3-bedroom compact. So that's really quite an advantage because you can really use it as like a store or even like a helper's room. So good on them for doing that kind of layout. So compared to Lentor Central Residences, like what I mentioned earlier, I feel like at 915 square feet, we do still get an efficient use of space. So taking Lentor Modern, Lentor Hills Residences, and Lentor Mansion, these are the highest transacted price of the 3-bedroom compact across these developments. So taking Lentor Modern, 2.24, you have already hit that kind of prices. Lentor Hills at 958 square feet, you have hit 2.1. Lentor Mansion at 904, you have also hit about 2.15 mil. So then with the price predictions that we have, level 1, you get around 1.9 starting from maybe. Level 13 brings you to about 2.0 mil. Level 28, about 2.2. So whether this is a safe entry price for you, if we were to look at what has been transacted over here, these are the highest prices. So you can see even at about the highest floor, if you were to enter for Lentor Central Residences for the 3-bedroom compact, if it is really about approximately 2.2-ish mil, I think that you are still well in the range of what has been transacted in Lentor. So definitely I feel it's still a good entry price in that sense. I only compared the 3-bedroom compact, which I feel is worthy of comparison, simply because in the resale market, these are the layouts that the resale buyers might compare against. So next we have our 3-bedroom premium, which is our type 3C. So at 1076 square feet, we have 2 stacks as well. We are facing the pool over here, stack 17, and then we have stack 2, which is facing Hillock Park. So this is a traditional layout. We have a good foyer entrance here, we have a glass panel here, and we also have a very sizable master bedroom. If you just look at the layout, right, even with a king bed there, I think you can still put a decent dresser, drawers by the side. So some people might really like that. You can have an extension of the wardrobe, because people always complain the wardrobe very small, right? So now you still can have a good extra wardrobe space in that sense. So then pulling it into comparison of what is around. So okay, I pulled out all the floor plans of the surrounding Lentor developments, right? And also put their prices. Because for the 3-bedroom premium, right, generally they're all very comparable actually. Why do I say so? Because most of them, they also have the household shelter, which we have over at Lentor Central Residences. Then of course, Hillock Green is the only one without a household shelter, but they do have a study here in that sense. So in terms of the whole configuration of, I would say, the other developments in Lentor, they're actually very similar. So really then it might be more down to price in that sense, which is why if you look at Lentor Modern, 1109 square feet, they're transacted at 2.7 mil. Lentor Hills, 1098 square feet, they've transacted close to 2.5. Like Hillock Green at 1066 square feet, they've transacted about 2.4. And then comparing into Lentoria, 1119 square feet, 2.5 mil as well. Lentor Mansion, 1023 square feet, about 2.4. And then of course we have our Lentor Central Residences. So you can see Lentoria as well as Lentor Mansion. Lentor Mansion does have a household shelter over here. Lentoria, instead of a household shelter, they have a utility that you see, as well as a small study. And for Lentoria, quite interestingly, their 3-bedroom premium already brings you to a landscape kind of living and dining area, which might be what some people do value, and maybe also why they can command for a higher price in that sense. Similarly, let's do the price predictions that we have done with the data above. So 1076 square feet, that's level 1 might bring you to about 2.2 mil, starting from level 13 about 2.4, level 28 probably about close to 2.6 mil. So looking at what has been transacted, the highest of course will actually be Lentor Modern, but it being an integrated development could also be why the PSF is slightly higher. Other than that, Lentoria at 2.5 mil. So if you were to get the highest floor for the 3-bedroom premium at Lentor Central Residences, your quantum play is still not too far off from what has already been transacted in Lentor. You're probably just about 150k more than what's transacted. So generally, I think with the layout that they provided, still a good price to enter into. So with that, with the 2 layouts of Lentor Central Residences, 915 square feet as well as 1076 square feet, putting them side by side, I feel my first choice would definitely still be 915 square feet. So why do I say so? Because for 915 square feet, right, based off the price predictions that we did earlier, it's actually a very sweet spot for HDB upgraders. Even the highest floor might bring you to just slightly above 2 mil, for example. And that for HDB upgraders is something that they really can stomach, even if they're coming from Ang Mo Kio or even from the northeastern side such as Sengkang. So for HDB upgraders, 915 is really an affordability sweet spot for them. They can afford this kind of quantum by selling off their HDB to make up for the down payment. So for 1076 square feet compared to our 4-bedroom, it's probably around only about 108 square feet difference. So for another bedroom at 108 square feet difference, at quantum maybe about 200 plus K, you get a proper bedroom. Then as compared to the 3-bedroom, that might be something that might be worthy for you to consider whether 1076 can you go up to the 1184 square feet layout. So that was what I felt about the 3-bedrooms at Lentor Central Residences. Now going into the 4-bedroom layout, we do have 2 layouts as well. We have the 1184 square feet for at stack 8, which is Hillock Park facing, as well as stack 13, which is also facing the Hillock Park. So at 1184 square feet, you get a portrait living and dining area. You do get a walk-in closet over here, which I think many females will like because you still have so much space in the master bedroom over here. So very good walk-in closet that they did for the 4-bedders. Then of course, good kitchen size that you see. We have a home shelter. We also have a WC, and then we still have a yard for probably laundry. Half glass panel over here as well. So good size for the 1184 4-bedder layouts. And then comparing that now to the other 4-bedrooms at Lentor. So Lentor Modern, right, they only have one type of 4-bedroom. So we can only use that for comparison, which is the 1528 square feet for their 4-bedroom. And as you can see, it is a landscape kind of layout over here. They do have a dry kitchen. They even have a wet kitchen. And of course, they have a household shelter over there. They do have a small master bedroom wardrobe though, but the pros over here that I see is that they actually have a landscape kind of living and dining area, which some people might prefer. Lentor Hills Residences, they actually do have 3 types of 4-bedroom layouts. They have the 1345, 1356, and 1399. So 1345 will actually be probably closest to our 1184 square feet. Then you can see they have a household shelter, they have a portrait kind of living and dining instead of the large landscape kind. And then they do actually, in fact, they have one extra bath over here, which our 1184 does not have. And then they have normal master bedroom size. For Hillock Green, their 4 bedrooms, they also have 2 other layouts actually. They have the 1184, 1313, and 1324 layout. So 1184 is the closest to our 1184 as well. So looking at that, the difference, actually not much difference. They also have a portrait kind of living and dining. Then they have a glass probably over here at the kitchen area. They have 2 baths only, which is quite similar to us. Just that our wardrobe was probably a little bit bigger. Then looking at Lentoria, Lentoria only has one type of 4-bedder, which is 1206. But Lentoria has a 4+ study. And then it is a kind of like a dumbbell because the junior master is on one side and then the other bedrooms are on the other side. They have a portrait kind of living and dining, but they do have a bit of a wasted walkway space over here, I feel. So that makes their living dining area feel a little bit smaller. For Lentor Mansion, their 4-bedroom is at 1227 square feet, so post harmonization. And then they only have this 4-bedroom layout. But Lentor Mansion has a 5-bedroom. So their 4-bedroom layout, they have a bigger balcony, but they still have a portrait kind of living and dining over here. They still have a home shelter, similar to us. And then they have a wet as well as a dry kitchen. So for the Lentor Mansion 4-bedroom, some people might feel like then they cannot enclose the kitchen in that sense. So it will always be kind of like an open concept kitchen for them. Then we have Lentor Central Residences, 1184 square feet, and this is generally how it looks. So using that as a price prediction for Lentor Central Residences, you can see that starting from, it could probably be around 2.4 to 2.5 mil. And then at mid floor, at level 13, you have about 2.6 mil. And then at the highest floor, probably about 2.7, 2.8 mil. So looking at what has been transacted, so you can see the prices that I've put over there. So we have Lentor Modern hitting 3.4 mil. And then over here, Lentor Hills at 2.7, Hillock Green at 2.6, Lentoria at 2.7, then Lentor Mansion at 2.9. So even if you were to get the highest floor of Lentor Central Residences, it will probably bring you to maybe about close to 2.8 or maybe slightly above 2.8 mil depending on their starting from prices. I feel that still gives you a good range for this 4-bedroom layout, because you can see what has been transacted in the market, right? Generally, it's all still quite within range for this 4-bedroom layout. So this 1184 square feet really might be a good entry price for any of you that's considering to enter into the 4-bedder, because I personally feel that there's still a room for growth comparing to how other developments have already transacted this kind of price. Let's look at the bigger 4-bedroom type that we have, which is the 1399 square feet 4-bedroom at Lentor Central Residences. So we do have 2 stacks as well. We have it facing the next land plot here at stack 3, and then we also have stack 16, which is facing Hillock Park. So this 4-bedroom, quite good layout, I feel. You have a landscape living and dining here, a very spacious wall-to-wall distance. You actually even have an additional store. So you look at it, we have our home shelter. Then we actually also have a store area over here. So I feel this is actually really very good for a lot of families, I feel, because generally 4-bedders, they might have a helper. So let's say, for example, the helper is to sleep at around the store area here. They do up a Murphy bed maybe for the helper. They can still use the home shelter as storage. So then big families with helper might actually like it. And then of course, we do have a walk-in closet as well. And for this 4-bedroom type at 1399 square feet, we do have an ensuite bath for all bedrooms. So you can see all bedrooms will actually link to a toilet. So using that, and then now let's pull up the big 4-bedroom types at Lentor. So not all developments in Lentor actually have those landscape kind of living and dining area. So Hillock Green is one of them. They do have it at 1324 square feet, but they are actually lacking a bath. So they only have one. They don't have ensuite bath. They actually have just one bath over here for 3 bedrooms to share. Then of course the master bedroom, the wardrobe is a little bit small. Kitchen, similar size, but they only have one utility. So they don't have like an additional storage. Then for Lentor Hills Residences, same size as us, 1399 square feet. Very, very comparable to Lentor Central Residences. They also have a store and a home shelter. They also have ensuite bath for all the bedrooms. The only thing that they probably don't have is a walk-in closet. But then I feel same kind of kitchen layout also. This is probably like a half glass over here. Then for us, our half glass is here. But for us, I feel because the kitchen is actually directly kind of in line with the living and dining area for Lentor Central Residences, so it might make the living area feel actually a little bit more spacious. So then that would be how I would compare Lentor Central Residences. So I feel Lentor Hills Residences and Lentor Central Residences would probably be the closest for comparison. I actually also put out Hillock Green's 4+ study as well as Lentoria's 4+ study, because these two are the ones with the landscape kind of living and dining area that you see. So then that might be a good good sense of how the prices are, even though they are only at 1,345 square feet. So then, similarly, using price predictions that we've done, so of course, I do think the 4-bedroom will probably start at a lower PSF simply because of its floor size. 2050 PSF, that brings you to be about 2.868 mil. At level 13, that brings you to be about 3, and then level 28, that probably puts you about 3.2, close to 3.3 mil. So if I were to compare this, right, with what has been accepted in Lentor itself, 3.3 mil might actually be a little bit high. Because you can see Hillock Green, Lentor Hills, the highest they've transacted is about 2.9, close to 3. And then for Hillock Green at the 4+ study, it's also close to 3. Lentoria, of course, it has exceeded 3. So if you were to go for the ground floor or mid floor, I feel it's still a safe entry price for yourself. But maybe for the highest floor, then you might have to hold out a little bit longer. You might have to probably stay there slightly longer and wait for the price to grow a little bit more before you decide to exit. So comparing 1184 as well as 1399 to 1184, right, the square difference actually is about 215 square feet. So at 215 square feet, if I were to calculate 2200 PSF, probably about almost close to 400k. So that will probably bring you to about more than 400k of difference, and you're not actually getting like another study. You're actually just getting like a bigger store, you're getting another bath, and you're getting a wider frontage. So of course, some people might feel that, this above 400,000 square feet more, for that might not be something that they want. But generally, I feel for 4 bedrooms condo, right, you're actually appealing to maybe 3-bedroom upgraders. That means you maybe in the same development or another development or same area, they're looking to upgrade from a 3-bedroom in a condo to a 4-bedroom. So some of them might then value the additional frontage that you have, the additional store that you have, and also the additional bath. Whereas for 3-bedders in the market, generally you're appealing to HDB upgraders. So some people might still feel that the 1399 square feet is worth it, but then my preference will definitely still be the 1184, simply because it will definitely be a major difference in terms of quantum. So unless I do think that you're planning to stay for a much longer time, maybe 8 years or even 10 years, then 1399 square feet for you to own, stay, to feel comfortable with might be a good choice for yourself. So 1399 to 1184, the quantum difference is very big, right? So we have actually also done another comparison where we did a 4-bedroom with a portrait layout as compared to a 4-bedroom with a landscape layout, and whether it makes sense to enter into and maybe also exit. So we've put up 2 projects. Claiborne has already TOP. Penrose is actually going to TOP soon. So Claiborne, 4-bedroom for this kind of portrait layout stands at 1281 square feet. It's a very usual kind of 4-bedroom size. And then the Penrose 4-bedroom at 1389 square feet. You can see it has the landscape kind of living and dining area that most people prefer. And it also has the same kind of ensuite bath for every bedroom. So then looking at their purchase price as well as their exit price, we calculated the ROI that they can manage to get. So looking at the first data over here, they bought in at 2.082 mil, exiting at 2.7, making profits of 618k. 680k over their purchase price, that brings you to about 29.68% of ROI. And then for Penrose, which is the landscape living and dining area, buying in at 2.292, they exited at 3.1 mil, bringing their profits to be about 808,000. So of course, 808,000 over 2.292, that actually brings you to about 35.25%. So looking at this, right, definitely, even though you're paying more, do you also get more? In this sense, yes, you do. But of course, that might not be the case for every portrait versus landscape kind of layout. We still need to do a little bit more analysis on this, but it also shows that some 4-bedroom family buyers, at the end of the day, they are buying for own stay, so they really might not mind paying a slightly premium just to get the whole wider frontage kind of feel that they can get as compared to upgrading from a 3-bedroom. So this shows that there is a chance that your ROI might be higher, even though your initial price is higher. You're getting a more product at the end of the day, and it's going to be a more rare kind of layout, so at the end, it might still be worth it for you. So okay, with that, we have come to the end for Lentor Central Residences. So based off the price predictions, the analysis, as well as whether there'll be an oversupply, I do feel that, the 1, 2, 3, and probably the small 4-bedroom at Lentor Central Residences will do very, very well on launch day, especially now with so many upcoming new launches, right? We have Alta, we have Park Town, we have Lentor Central Residences. Definitely, it'll be an advantage for you as a buyer to enter into, because developers are going to be a lot more price sensitive. They're going to be more competitive in their prices. So that's where you will stand to gain, definitely as a buyer. So yeah. So that's all I have. I do feel that Lentor Central is a good buy. So if you have any questions, just drop me a message. I'll be happy to go deeper into the analysis if you need, and then we can chat more from there. Bye!